Awesome.
Great.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE, welcome back to the channel that puts stupidity in the cement mixer of knowledge and turns it into the driveway of science. Tonight we have a bit of a change from the normal flat earth nonsense because there's been a lot of that lately. So we're having a hopefully civilized debate about whether religion or atheism is the correct stance to hold. Before we get going, many of my viewers will be in the UK, and I'm sure that you're all aware of the announcements by Boris Johnson that I'll just read you the notes on it. 1 second. Let me get to this. So, P.S. Boris Johnson has announced a major ramping up of coronavirus measures. Here are the major points of his speech. From tonight, people in Britain will be allowed to leave their homes for only very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities, for one form of exercise a day, for any medical need, and to travel to and from work when absolutely necessary. People are warned not to meet friends or family members who they do not live with. Shopping is only permitted for essentials like food and medicine, and people are advised to do it as little as you can. Police have powers to enforce the rules, including through fines and dispersing gatherings. All shops selling non-essential goods, such as clothing and electronic stores, are ordered to close. Libraries, playgrounds, outdoor gyms and places of worship are to close. All gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with, are banned. All social events, including weddings and baptisms, are banned. Funerals are not included in the new restrictions. Parks will remain open for exercise, but gatherings will be dispersed. Restrictions under constant review and will be checked again in 3 weeks. They will then be relaxed if the evidence shows we are able to. So it is serious now, guys. And if you haven't been taking it serious up to this point, then this is the point to take it serious. Because these measures are there to help us. It does mean that life is going to change for a while for a lot of us, especially those with parents with kids that are at school age. It's going to be a long time before the kids are back at school, and you have to, take the burden of education upon yourself now. It's going to be a massive change in everyone's life, and just stay safe, follow the restrictions, and we'll get through this on the other side, because we always win. And if we work together and do as we're told, we're going to get through this. But on that, we're going to introduce the debaters. Welcome to the channel for the first time, J.L. Warren. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Excellent. Thank you, Craig, very much for having me on.
No worries. I'm actually very excited to be a backseat to a debate and listen to 2 people talk about something that I probably am not qualified to have a debate on. So thank you for reaching out for me about doing this, and thank you very much. So let's our debater tonight is Sonny Stephen coming back. Sonny is a flat earther. We've had on a few times, but tonight that isn't the topic of conversation. It is whether religion or atheism is the correct stance. Obviously, Sonny, you hold the position of being a Christian, yes? Sonny? You there? He was there just now. Honest. Let me see where he's gone. Sonny, you there? Well, I mean, I could...
Maybe if we pray, he'll show up.
Yeah, he was literally there in the background just now, whilst we were like having that conversation. I could hear his clock ticking, but now he seems to have disappeared. Oh well. that puts a dampener on things. Let's go back to J.L. Warren and have a chat with him instead, while we wait for Sonny to come back. Let me just message him. It says he's in the call and it says his microphone is on, so I don't know where he's gone.
Yeah, same.
Not mine this time. But all right, so why don't we just start with, you are here to hold the position that you are an atheist, correct? And religion isn't
yes.
right, correct. So why don't you just go through your opening argument on why you hold that position?
Okay. Well, I guess I can just run through my opening statement. So yes, my name is J.L. Warren. I'm the creator and co-host of Week in Horror podcast, and I am an atheist. I first heard Sonny's arguments when he appeared with Fight to debate the notion of the flat Earth, and several times in those conversations, Sonny cited several religious concepts and claims. And when I recognized that his flat Earth position was rooted in his personal truths of religion, I felt that a conversation regarding the foundations of his belief was necessary. So I hope over the course of the conversation between Sonny and I that we can do our best to, I'd like to steer away from, the deeply subjective waters of philosophy and spirituality and remain firm-footed in the realm of evidence, the scientific method and objective truths. I argue that atheism in this day and age, at this point in the extent of our knowledge of reality in the universe, is, in the narrowest sense, the only objectively true position to hold. Atheism does not address the unfalsifiable notion of a God, but it rejects the claim on the basis of a lack of evidence. We approach the great questions from an empirical and objectively supported approach, and we do not reach to extraordinary claims to answer questions. I'm hoping my goal is to address some fundamentals. The problem of and dangerous results of faith-based systems, religion's reduction of personal and societal freedom, and the recipe for disaster of fear-based morality, which is something I heard Sonny mention the last time he spoke with you, and that really kind of struck me. I also want to ensure that a complete understanding that religion is rooted in our very earliest and most ignorant attempts to understand the world and the patterns that we saw in it, us being pattern-seeking creatures, and that we have over the past 100,000 years through scientific exploration of our world, we've come to the conclusion that primordial and superstitious pattern explanation has no place in determining truth.
Okay, that all makes sense to me. Sonny is there, but all of a sudden his mic isn't working. So he's refreshing his browser to see if we can actually get his side of the argument, because he could hear us, but we just couldn't hear him for some reason. Now he's having issues logging in. Flat Earthers and technology, I know this isn't about Flat Earth, but... yeah, so... this isn't my debate, but my position is that because of Steve, I'm an agnostic atheist, because I don't believe that there is a God, but I could never disprove it. I don't think anyone else could disprove it. It's not really something that is provable in any way. But whether there's a God or not, I don't see the need for a God. It doesn't help us understand or explain the universe. And on the question of, a lot of religion, I feel special because we have a creator, but I feel special because the trillions upon trillions of little consequences, accidental things that have happened for me to be a thing. I think that makes me special.
It is objectively. It is that's another major thing that I really want to touch on, is that when they talk about the infinitesimal possibility, the odds of this happening, of this planet happening in such a specific way. The amino acids coming together to create, our DNA and self-replicating, or the self-replicating genes. The problem that I have with that is that we have a sample size of 1, and the sample size is Earth. And given the infinite nature, not saying that the universe is infinite, but given the infinite mathematical nature of the universe, there are a million pieces that have to fall into place in order for this to happen. And if one of them is out of line, then it cannot happen. But given the infinite nature of the universe, it's mathematically certain that it can happen again. It probably will happen again, but it probably won't happen in our lifetimes, or in a way that we could ever detect it. is the
Yeah.
whole big thing. So, but since we're operating on a sample size of
Can you hear me?
one,
Oh,
we can
there we
only
go,
say
Sonny.
it's happened once. Hey, there's the
Okay.
man.
Yay! Don't know
Hey,
what
so
happened there.
I'll just stick to my webcam because I don't know what's going on with my mic. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Right,
Okay,
let me.
can you see me here on the stream? Yeah, just turn my webcam on, I guess.
Yep. Okay. Okay. I'll take the picture off that's there.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
All right. So yeah,
Yeah.
welcome back to the channel, Sonny.
No problem. Pleasure
Obviously,
to be here.
today isn't about the topic of flat Earth. I still
Mm-hmm.
think that I can change your mind on that. So today is
Ah,
about
okay.
the whether religion or atheism is the correct stance to hold. You obviously hold the
Okay.
stance that you are a Christian, correct?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well, why don't you just take a few minutes then to explain to everybody why you hold that stance?
Yeah, so getting back to what I was saying, what I started to say anyway, was, well, I've been a Christian my entire life. I did have a period where I became an atheist. So I definitely see that side of the world or the world viewpoint as well. And I did a lot of research into that. And I found that, then I did some diving of deeper of my own, like my own spiritual journey. I didn't necessarily just become a Christian again. I just, went into spirituality in general. Like, I dabbled in Buddhism and Hinduism. Hinduism, I was surrounded by Hindus because I'm, originally from India, predominantly a Hindu country. So as I was going through that phase, I came across a lot of interesting videos online, let's just say. Some of them involving the, stuff like poltergeist activities. I'm sure everybody's seen a few, and, I'll leave it to you if you think it's real or not, but they certainly had a very deep influence in me. Because as an atheist, I was 100% materialist. Like, there's only the material world, there's nothing else. And when you die, you just become dissolved into nothing. And then I did some more research into science, and I'm sure all of you would agree that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And I guess I went from there, and then I looked into more, spirituality. I got into astral projection, which I encourage everybody to do. There's plenty of binaural beats out there on YouTube that you can use to have your out-of-body experience. So anyway, that's been my journey. And eventually now I'm more like, the minute I knew that there was a spiritual side to life, that's when I got lured back into Christianity. Obviously there's some kind of a game between God and the devil going on right here in this earth realm. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. So that's when I came across Anton Levin and Satanism, and how much it was connected with atheism, and it's quite bizarre. So that really got me back into Christianity, and I still have a lot of respect for other religions. Nothing but love for anybody that wants to follow the truth, the path to God. So that's why I'm here. Hello?
Yep. Sorry, I have myself muted.
Oh.
Excellent. So
No.
did you hear J.L. Warren's opening statement?
I heard bits and pieces of it. I was just scrambling to fix things up, but if you could just summarize it.
Yeah, J.L., do you mind just going back over briefly what you said
Sorry
again?
about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can touch on that.
Yeah.
So we'll just go like this. I'm arguing that atheism in this day and age is pretty much, to the extent of our knowledge of a reality universe, is the only objectively true position to hold. And during the course of this, I want to address the problem of and dangerous results of faith-based systems, religion's reduction of personal and societal freedom, and the recipe for disaster that is fear-based morality. I'm more than happy to go into other areas, like if you wanted to talk about, if you wanted to go into how we know certain things, our epistemology, and of course our approach to science, we can go into those if you want to. I'm more than happy to, just however you want to do. I would very much like to kind of, because the areas of spirituality and philosophy are typically very, very subjective, and they're rooted in people's personal experiences. It's how they interpret the world, how they interpret patterns. I would kind of like to avoid that, because to be perfectly clear, or to be perfectly honest, it would be intellectually dishonest of me to tell you that you didn't feel something that you felt. Okay, that you didn't feel something or you didn't experience something, and I don't want to do that. So, if we can avoid those kind of subjective areas, it would be, I think, it would be a more fruitful discussion. That way, we don't get lost in the miasma of just, like, oh, well, I interpret it as this way, or I see it this way, or that's just patterns, or anything of that nature. So,
okay, that sounds great.
Okay, so you two can just start the conversation wherever you like. Like I said, I'm just going to be a passive observer. I don't expect I'll have to jump in, but so, Stunny, would you like to ask JL Warren a question, and we can just let it go from there?
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you're by atheist. Well, there are two types of atheists that I've found. There's the ones that are spiritual, believe it or not, but they just don't believe in God. And then there's the complete materialist that, nothing spiritual. When you die, that's it. Game over. There is no God, obviously, and everything is just... so which type are you? Like, would you categorize yourself into?
Okay, well, I refer to myself blatant just as an atheist. Now, you can make the argument for agnostic atheism because we simply don't know. There are many things that we don't know. I prefer atheism because, in the sense that, because God is an unfalsifiable concept. Even if there was a God, it is not somebody that I would worship. It is not something that I would lay myself in front of. Just given the information and evidence that we have regarding that being. So I refer to myself as an atheist, and I base that on the rejection of the claim, because there's no evidence to support a deity or a creator figure or anything of that nature.
Okay.
Now, if you mind, I have one. Yeah, sure. I have one quick question for you though, if it's okay.
No problem. Yeah, go ahead.
So you were born into Christianity, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you were born. Your parents indoctrinated you into Christianity, and you said you went atheism. You found atheism, or you deconverted to atheism for a while.
Yes.
Correct, and then you came back to Christianity.
Yes.
Okay. So I know, and I will be one of the first to tell you that overcoming the indoctrination of religion is it's like quitting smoking. Sadly, I've been a smoker for decades, and it's a nightmare to try and quit. Indoctrination gets in, especially when it gets in that young, is very, very difficult. My curiosity is, the question that I want to ask is, you say you went from atheism back to Christianity. What led you specifically to that? Because going back to Christianity means that you are accepting things as fact without evidence to support them. So you went from a mental state where you did not accept things without evidence, and then something told you, or something gave you something made it justified you accepting things without evidence anymore. I'm kind of curious what that was.
Yeah, as you said, I was indoctrinated. I'm not going to lie about it. If I was born as a Hindu, I'd probably still be a Hindu. If I was born a Christian, same thing. So what led me away from Christianity was a lot of the Christian leaders, unfortunately, are always harping on about you're going to spend the eternity in hell if you don't believe Jesus, and all other religions are wrong. It just kind of I think I was around 23 or something when I just enough is enough. I don't want to be part of this. And I know there were a lot of loving Christians, and I was thinking, and then I got into Richard Dawkins a lot back in the day, when YouTube was first getting a lot of videos up. I was addicted to Dawkins, and I was also addicted to everything by NASA, like the planets and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what, the odds of this Christian God creating everything from nothing and the Big Bang, it just seems very outdated. They did all the carbon the radio testing or whatever to see the actual age. Sorry,
radiometric dating.
Radiometric data. Yeah. And then I even as a teenager, I would ask my mom, just my parents in general, why were the dinosaurs ever around? if Adam and Eve were the first humans, like why were there like dinosaurs 65 million years before that? So those kind of things, kind of, you understand it. Over the years, it kind of builds up, and then when I turned about 23 or so, or 24, I just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm an atheist. I don't want to be part of this anymore. And then the thing is, at first it was really great, and I was really happy. But it's kind of a short-lived happiness, because once you go into that cult, then you see how people are. Well, as I said, like I did some more research into atheism, and I found the origins of atheism was not really that great. With Anton Levin, openly saying that Satanism is actually based on atheism, like they go kind of hand in hand. He didn't believe in God.
Yeah, well, two seconds on that.
Yeah.
So I'm don't mean to interrupt. To correct on that is Anton Standish LaVey, the father of the modern Satanist temple. In actuality, he was a deeply spiritual individual who both predominantly focused on humanism, is what he went to, and that bowing to a deitic father figure that had that there was no evidence of made no sense. And made no sense to him, but he did believe in deeply spiritual things, very supernatural things about this universe. So he and his followers, they would have like magic orgies and weird stuff like that, and that was his interpretation. That was the thing that he did. I don't agree with what he did, but he was predominantly based in humanism, and then he took humanism and added dogma to it. So it was kind of like to purposefully be an affront to God. But many people, I've read the books on him by the people that knew him, is that you could almost consider him an early troll, okay? Where in actuality he loved gadflying. He loved being the thorn in the side. He loved the spectacle as much as he loved being a hedonist. And so you can take the things that he did almost with a grain of salt. He may have done them for the spectacle, but we could never really say whether or not Anton LaVey actually believed these things, or if he was just doing it for the limelight, because his behavior got him into a lot of very, very powerful circles with a lot of very powerful people, and that's what he wanted. He wanted the limelight, and so it's kind of saying, to base anything on those things from the people that actually knew the man. It's difficult to say that he had any kind of position whatsoever, because he was also very, very guarded, and he kept a lot of secrets. Okay, so that kind of being a source is kind of, I would say it's kind of speculative at best.
Well, but he did publicly say that he was an atheist, right? Like he kind of he rejected the existence of all gods. I'm just going by
he rejected the doctrine of the church, and he rejected God. But he made it a point of saying that he rejected God. It wasn't that he disbelieved God, or he disbelieved in it on account of no evidence. It was he was physically standing against God and utilizing the same kind of rituals, the same kind of dogmatic rituals that exist in Christianity, but using them to his own benefit instead of the glorification of God. Okay, so he never flatly stated that he was agnostic or that he was atheist or an agnostic atheist, but he definitely stated multiple times that he was a humanist, and then he added dogma to his claims. And either way, because of his natural secrecy, because of the limelight that he sought, because he wanted to be famous, he wanted to be around rich people. We don't know. We can't say with any degree of certainty, with a reasonable degree of certainty, what his actual motivations were. The man, literally, I can tell you, would have said anything to anyone if it got a rise out of them, because he loved getting. He was a troll. He was he literally was. He trolled the Catholic Church. Okay, that was, we could say that he was doing that and using it as justification to really, fuck a lot of people. That's pretty much what he was, because he was a horny bastard.
So basically, he's doing anything for attention, right? So
pretty much,
he's kind of like
he wasn't
kind of like a modern day celebrity.
You see that freaking hat that he wore during his? Oh yeah, the man was a glutton for attention. Yes, He
Yeah.
absolutely was. See the pictures of him when he was in full garb. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dude absolutely wanted attention for everything he was doing. So, um,
So.
citing him as a source, I don't think is the best. That's why I would never cite him, because it's so speculative and very little about him deeply personally, because everything personal about him he kept in his bedchambers. So, and we really can't say that for any certainty if he was trolling or if he was being legit. Okay, we just kind of know the legacy that he left. So.
So yeah, it's like a modern day celebrity, kind of like I'm sure you've seen all those celebrities doing all those devil symbols, like oh, I sold my soul for fame. There's also the stuff like spirit
Well, I mean,
cooking. I'm sure.
I gotta kind of jump on that as well. If you're talking about the images of like Beyonce and various stuff like that,
very satanic.
I actually have friends in the Satanic Temple.
Okay.
And I can tell you straight up right now, the seven tenets of Satan, the seven tenets of Satanism are far more moral than the 10 Commandments that are in the Bible. I can tell you that, like, right now. Absolutely. But the problem is that when you go through a video feed, like if you like we're on video right now, and if I do this, if I wave my hands, or if I'm doing this as part of a dance, which is like what Beyonce is doing or what other people are doing, it catch my hands going in a specific direction. If I'm like boop boop up, and then you catch this, and my hands make a pattern, okay, then you can justify as long as you catch it in the right pattern, which is why you don't see Beyonce doing the same hand pattern at every single one of her concerts. It's literally one or two photos from Beyonce, and how many concerts has Beyonce given? Right? So the woman has put on hundreds of concerts, and we have maybe two photos of her making what we assume to be Illuminati or satanic gestures, but not every artist does it, and there are artists out there as big as Beyonce is. Okay? And so when you have these, what these are individuals on the internet looking to perpetuate certain like urban legends, and they are pattern seeking is what they're doing. They're actually looking for patterns. That's one of the topics that we can address is human beings, predilection towards finding patterns. And that's what these people are doing, that they're looking for specific patterns so they can put them out there and perpetuate a narrative that supports their own beliefs. So it's literally a combination of pattern seeking and confirmation bias.
Well, speaking of Beyonce, since we're on that topic, I do agree that sometimes, with the video you can capture certain things, and if you slow it down or you just take a, screenshot of it, you can, make people do almost anything you want. But there are photos, though, actual still photos. I'm just trying to send this to Craig if he can.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
just email it to me.
photo. Sure. Like, she has the Illuminati. What's it called? The triangle. And this is a photo. This is not something that was captured by mistake, and it was taken. There's a lot of photos in different angles, so clearly there is something going on. And also, like I mentioned, Lady Gaga. Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about when she was going like this, when she was when she was doing this.
Yeah. It's
however it was like that.
Yeah.
And I've heard,
but this is not.
Yeah, I can't say with any degree of certainty that's what that is. But I have heard people. I have seen and heard from people doing the exact same thing and saying that it means the Holy Trinity.
That's true. I mean, there's something going on. Let's just say,
it may
also,
be. I can't speak to Beyonce's religion. I've never spoken with her. I've never met her, but it's interesting because I'm looking at her hands, and she's got two fingers up, two fingers down, and then her whole hand up forward. So there's all kinds of things that we can interpret from this. I don't know if she is literally just like she just finished a song. Okay, she could have had her hands up. She could be bringing them down. There's so very little you can tell from a photo unless somebody tells you what you should be interpreting. Then they anchor you to that belief. And then if you want to see it, you will see it. Is wrong. Because all I see right now, because all I see is a singer holding a microphone and bringing and having her hands mostly up in her face. Okay. Because
I get it. Yeah.
just by virtue of the angle, we can kind of see a triangle, but we may not see that from another angle. So we can't objectively say that that's specifically what Beyonce was doing. So stuff like that. Remember, and that's one thing I wanted to jump on is that, and one thing that seemed to kind of swing by you one time was that, okay, human beings, okay, humans have been around for, modern Homo sapiens. We've been around for, there's arguments on the debate, but probably around 250,000 years, about 250,000 years. But we shared this earth with 8 other cousins, 8 other humans that were around us. Okay, we weren't the only ones. It wasn't just like modern humans. So we actually had like 8 other cousins that shared this planet with us, and we just happened to be the random gene mutation that happened to survive. Everyone else, all the other ones died out. But we actually interbred with them. You can find their DNA in our genome. But the one thing that kept us alive was our brains were extremely adept at sussing out or at recognizing patterns. Okay? Now, 100,000 years ago, when we're hiding from cave lions and cave bears and fighting for survival and hoping not to get picked off by giant eagles, okay, we were utilizing that pattern-seeking ability from from our evolved brain in order to survive better. So Homo sapiens, us, have some of the best pattern-seeking ability. We're not even the best, though. There are some animals out there that are better than we are. But we use that pattern-seeking ability to survive in an extraordinarily hostile world and on a planet that killed off our 8 other cousins, our 8 other human cousins, the Neanderthals, the Floriensis, Rhododiensis. There's so many. The Erectus, the Denisovans, the red deer people, the Naledi, the Luzonesis. All these humans, these were humans of varying developments. They all died off except for us. We were lighter, we were faster, we moved better, we digested food better, we made better use of our brains, we saw patterns better, we were more societally gathered. And the problem is that now we're in modern society. Okay, we have all the modern comforts, but those pattern-seeking abilities did not just disappear because we don't have them anymore. So now we see more patterns in all the chaos, and we try to derive those patterns, and that is where we get religion. Is that religion and gods and mysticism and superstition and all these deities and everything, those are the results of human beings trying to ascertain meaning out of the patterns that they were seeing. So religion is actually the end result of our pattern-seeking ability being utilized in our most ignorant time frame. Okay, when we knew so little about the planet. We didn't know about gravity. We didn't know about space. We didn't know we didn't know why there were earthquakes. We didn't know why volcanoes erupted. We didn't understand why sometimes birds were here and so why sometimes they left, when it got cold. We didn't understand these things. And we didn't move much, okay, by comparison. And, at the time that these things formed, we were pretty much in a centralized location. So the world wasn't very big to us, okay? It pretty much went from coast to coast, and that's what we thought the world was. And so we derive explanations. We try to suss out, why does this do this? Why does this mean this? And we make up our own answers because there were no answers at the time until scientific, observation, hypothesis, experimentation, and theory finally gave us the answers that we have.
Okay. So basically you're saying that in evolution we have this innate ability to recognize certain patterns and certain symbols even when they're not there.
Careful on that. We have the ability to recognize patterns, and then we typically through confirmation bias ascribe meaning to those patterns. That's the purpose of the scientific method, is to remove that confirmation bias, to remove all bias, to ensure that our own pattern-seeking ability is not interfering in the work that we're doing, in the exploration that we're doing. So we want to make sure that we're not affecting, we're not seeing what we want to see. That's why we have peer review. Okay, that's why we have falsification, is to ensure that our confirmation bias is not affecting our results.
Okay, so getting back to that, it's not that she's only doing that one. There's a lot of pop stars that were also caught in very bizarre, extremely evil-looking rituals. For example, Lady Gaga was dealing with a lot with, I don't know if you know Marina Abramovic or something, with the spirit cooking. So it seems a lot of these celebrities do.
Yeah, but do you know this for a fact?
Yeah, I do have like photos.
No.
I shared a photo.
You know this for a fact? No, Sonny, don't lose me on this. Do you know this for a fact? Okay. Were you there? Did you observe it, or did you read someone else's interpretation of it?
No. There are videos of Marina Abramovic, actual videos on YouTube where she explains.
What was the video? What was the video titled? But what was the video titled? Is the problem?
Yeah. So it's
spirit cooking with Lady Gaga.
Spirit cooking. Yeah. Plus,
okay. So your audience. But think about it.
I just want to know what they're doing. That's all. Yeah.
But you're now currently anchored to that because you saw the title. The title has now anchored you to that video. What if you saw that video and there was no title? Okay, so somebody obviously put that title.
Explain the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
The video is just a video.
I just want you to explain the. No. I hope Craig can share this photo. It's not just cooking. It's something more sinister. Yeah, go ahead.
If you email it maybe, sorry.
Yeah, I just emailed it to you.
Okay. But how do you know? How do you know it's sinister? Are you ascribing something sinister to it, or?
I don't know. I'm asking you to, because you said that you have friends in the. No, listen. You said that you have some friends in the Satanic Temple or something like that. Maybe you can explain it further. What they're So first of all, I find that very interesting. That you just tried to disconnect atheism and Satanism, but yet you have Satanic friends. Friends who follow Satanism.
I have friends that are. I have friends that are. No, I have friends that are Christian. I have friends that are members of the Satanic Temple. I have friends that are atheists. I have friends that are. I have friends across the board. My problem is not with religion in general. My problem is with this looks like an art piece. No different
what kind
than
tell me what
this looks. I wasn't there, so I can't say. All I can do is look at the image. This looks like an art piece. And this looks no different than this looks no different than Japanese men eating sushi off a naked woman, which is an actual tradition.
So that's what it is. That's what they're doing. That's all they're doing. It's just pure art, nothing spiritual, nothing satanic, nothing at all. So you expect me to believe that? And on top of that, all the satanic gestures.
Well, Sonny, you can take what you want from the photo. You can take what you want from the photo, but obviously this woman is alive. Okay. It's being made a spectacle of. So this may be.
I know that's a doll, by the way. That's a doll. That's not even a real woman. This was kind of a practical thing. Yeah. So the thing is, it looks extremely dark and very sinister. So I mean, would you show this to anybody? Would you put this in a museum for children, for example? Just throwing it out there. No. Obviously not. Right?
They don't. Museums aren't really made for children specifically. They're made for everybody.
You just said it's art, so maybe it's like some kind of.
It very well could be. I don't know who did the installation. I don't know who did this installation.
I understand, but it just seems interesting that a lot of celebrities are connected with these kind of things, and you hear more and more about it. And it seems like there is some kind of a deal with. Even Bob Dylan, I think, went on record saying. He made the deal with somebody, and there was an interview with that. So it seems there's a connection between something satanic, spiritual, something that's kind of like dominating our reality right now, that is pushing down a lot of spirituality while doing these kind of things, right? like right in your
Okay,
face. It's
actually,
like
we can get on to something that you just brought up.
Okay.
You said something satanic. Okay, so
Yeah.
when you were ascribing satanic or sinister or whatever labels to something that you're seeing, okay, you first must you acknowledge that you believe in the devil. Okay, now I don't know
Yes, I
which
do.
devil you believe. Yeah, you do. I don't know which devil you believe in. If you believe in the standard Lucifer, if you believe in the Lucifer as described in the Bible, or if you believe in the Lucifer that was depicted in the woodcuttings of Gustave Doré, or what version of Lucifer you because the concept of Lucifer falling and the falling angel like that doesn't originate from the Bible. It originates from
I agree.
from other works. Exactly. There's so many different depictions of him, and one of the biggest and most influential, obviously, was the Divine Comedy of Dante Alighieri.
Yeah.
But my curiosity is, you're saying first and foremost that the devil exists.
Yes,
Okay?
the devil
That he
exists
actually
in different
exists.
shapes and forms. Yeah.
Okay, so where
Um,
is your evidence to support that?
like I said, this is a spiritual war, right? So obviously, the devil is not going to be able to.
That's the
Yeah.
problem. Yes, that's the problem. So there is no evidence to support the existence of the devil, nor is there evidence. It's an unfalsifiable concept. We can say that we see it. We can say that we don't. We can interpret patterns that may look scary. Okay, we can interpret patterns that prey upon our fear of the unknown, because humans are naturally afraid of the unknown, which is what makes us so afraid of death. Okay, or some of us, death
I'm not
happens
afraid
to
of
everyone.
death anymore.
Okay, and some people are simply afraid of dying because they don't know how it's going to happen. But fear of the unknown is one of the things that keeps us alive. But if we see something scary, something unknown, we want to ascribe meaning to it so that we can at least have power over that which we are seeing. Okay, and this is a basic psychological function where we want to ascribe control so that we can better survive a situation. So we ascribe things that make us uncomfortable or make us uneasy or frighten us. We want to collate them and quantify them so that we can better understand them, and therefore we can wrest control from the unknown and then proceed on with our lives, not being afraid of it anymore. Now, obviously, there's no evidence to support the existence of a devil, nor is there evidence to support the existence of a god. They're both unfalsifiable concepts. But so there's my big question. You just cited on you just kind of landed on it. So how do you justify your worldview when it is based upon an illogical and an illogical assumption that or an assumption that you can't back up? Okay, I don't have eyes in the back of my head. So if I lived my life as though someone were constantly standing directly behind me, and I believe that, but I just can't see them, that wouldn't make any sense. Okay, it's like, oh, I know he's back there. He's always back there. I just can't see him because I don't have eyes back there. Okay, but he's always watching me. If I lived my life according to that, I have literally taken a concept I cannot prove, and I have bound myself. I have put myself in chains, limiting the freedoms of my belief and the freedoms of my behavior for a concept that is unviable and, for lack of a better term, cannot nor ever has been proven. Okay, that science has not done this for us, and that's my curiosity. That's where I'm kind of coming from. Is that how do you justify that? The want to go into a masochistic relationship with this unidentifiable creator who refuses to reveal himself. That's a life of bondage.
I agree to a certain extent. I know there are some religious monks who, but if you ask the religious monk, he'll be like, he can't understand our way of living. His way of living is pure peace, and he's like, he's with God or whatever. Some of them do fasting; they don't even need to eat. There's been proof scientifically. One man, a Hindu guy, actually fasted and didn't even drink water for like a month or something. This is all
No,
evidence.
that was a hoax. That was. I'm sorry, Sonny. That was proven to be a hoax.
He'd be dead.
A human
Are
being
you
cannot
sure?
survive more than yes. A human being cannot survive more than 4 days without water. That was proven to be a hoax. Just like the concept of breatharianism, of subsisting solely on prana, the energy of the universe, that can't exist. The human body cannot subsist. And believe me, I'm an Eagle Scout. I spent a lot of time training in the outdoors. I spent a lot of time training to survive in
Oh
extreme
wait, does that mean you're a
environments.
4-star general according to Victor?
Apparently, I am. I had no idea these benefits.
Wow.
But I spent a lot. I
That's
spent a lot of
incredible.
time training on these things, and well, I'm not military. I was denied. So I was denied access to the military because of both, my asthma and my glasses. Um, the problem was that I know the limitations of the human body, and we've seen that some of these people make these claims. They make these claims that they can do these things, and they have had doctors literally intervene to keep them from killing themselves because they're holding on to this belief so strongly. Like one lady who she could go, almost indefinitely without food or water, and they watched her medically hour after hour after hour, and to the point where she was so dehydrated and starved, she was literally incoherent in speech. She couldn't
I
function.
wouldn't
They had to take
recommend
her to
it.
the
No,
yeah,
it's not for everyone.
oh, exactly, but no, but it's not possible
No.
because we know how cells survive and what they require to survive. Your body, your internal organs and your brain will start shutting down, and you'll start going into cardiac arrhythmias without water. Like
Okay.
you will literally, and that takes like 4 days. That's an undeniable fact. And the Indian guy who claimed to have not eaten for a month or not drank water for a month, that was proven to be a hoax.
Okay, right. Let's try to get this back more on topic. How about we
Yeah.
have something about a discussion? And I suppose Sonny is the best one to ask the question to. Is there any evidence for Christianity to be the correct stance?
Maybe that's where the faith part comes. There's of course the Bible. We have that, and we have the accounts of all the people that actually saw Jesus rise from the dead. And there's historical evidence that Jesus Christ was living among us. I mean, even if you look at it historically, I mean, whether you believe in the miracles or not, there was somebody named like a prophet during that time period. So that there's definitely historical evidence of that. And other than that, like I said, I'm not a diehard only Christian only. I see more spirituality on a general term. And yeah, I'm an honest man. I can't really tell you, oh, I have definite proof that Christianity is real. Other than, of course, there has been some proof done to some tests been done to prove that macro evolution on a macro scale is not actually possible. And also, it seems very odd that among all, I mean, this is just a child-like view of the world. Maybe you think that only humans evolved to the capacity that we are, like, we wear clothes, we have these buildings and structures and communities, whereas no other
Oh,
animal
okay,
evolved.
Jose. Okay, hang on. So
Yeah.
we're kind of running off, and we're hitting it. And I want to try to avoid the Gish Gallop on this. So going back to faith, and you are correct. Now,
Yeah.
whichever version you want to try and ask, whether it's Hebrews 1:11 or anything of that nature,
Yeah.
faith, and I'm going to crib from Matt Dillahunty on this, is that faith is the belief in things where you have no good reason to believe in them. Okay,
Mhm.
that's in essence what faith is. Faith is subjective, completely subjective, and is influenced by emotion, by your intuition, by your interpretation of phenomena. Okay, things that you see that you don't understand, you utilize faith to understand them. And okay, and I can see you kind of smiling there. You know where I'm going with this. Okay, so
Mhm.
the subjective nature of emotion lends itself to subjective belief. Okay, was a problem, which is why it's,
Mhm.
it's not good to hold beliefs, because beliefs can be so subjective. It's better to have a reasonable degree of certainty based upon the evidence. Okay, so
Mhm.
beliefs will stray you away from they can stray you away from objective truth and leave you rooted in personal truth. There's a vast, there's a canyon between those two things. Objective truth, things that are true, whether or not you believe that they're true or not, and personal truths, truths that you accept regardless of it. Okay? And so we want to ensure that we open the door, we close the door to behavioral and emotional manipulation and control, because that's what faith does. Okay? Faith opens the door to control your behavior, to manipulate your behavior, okay, for something that you cannot prove, and tells you what you can do, what you cannot do. And while I don't typically have a giant problem with faith or with religion in general, it's when these things begin to try and legislate our lives, to tell people what they can do, what they can't do, or for whatever reason, okay? When they start reducing our rights, when they start reducing our autonomy, that's when I have a problem with. That is why religion is so dangerous. That is why I agree with Christopher Hitchens when he says that religion and faith, they poison everything they touch. Okay? Wow. Because they prey upon the gullible. They prey upon the scared. They prey upon the fear of the unknown. Instead of attempting to explain through scientific observation, through scientific method, they just give these wild explanations. There's a sky fairy, and he will give you sky cake if you believe a certain thing. And if you don't believe a certain thing, he's going to send you to this fiery place for all eternity. Okay? Even though he gave you free will to choose between the two, but he's going to set the stage against you. This logically makes no sense. Okay? That's the problem. It's not an intellectually honest position to have. That's where I come from, is that it's not an intellectually honest position to take. Okay, so and then you kind of went off on into the denial of evolution, everything, when evolution is demonstrably proven. We've proven it in the lab. We know that it happened. We have 8 other human cousins that did not survive the natural selection that led to us. We were the only ones to survive out of our 8 human cousins because we were the best adapted. Our genomes were selected for survival. They all died off, but their DNA, some of their DNA still lives with us today.
Okay.
It's selected. Nature select. Well, that's the scientific term we utilize.
Favorites? Okay.
No. It doesn't play favorites. It's what we call is that the environment. Okay, something that I think might have slipped past you is evolutionary pressures. Okay, so there are evolutionary pressures. And these evolutionary pressures come from all angles. The biggest one is environmental. Okay, do you have the ability to adapt to your environment? And other Homo sapiens, other humans, did not adapt as quickly as we could. They weren't as fast as we were. They didn't digest. They didn't. They weren't as efficient in their food digestion. They gestated slowly. They gave birth more slowly. They weren't as social as we were. Okay, they didn't have as developed brains. Okay. And so they couldn't make talky word noises. And because of that, we were the better ones. And that's what we talk about when nature. It's not that nature played favorites. It's that we were selected for through evolutionary pressures. So it wasn't that we got lucky.
Word noises.
Yes, we do. And that's what that's what got us ahead. That was it was our ability to control fire and our ability to breed faster, and our ability to communicate more complexly than our cousins, okay? And that's what we call natural selection, is that it wasn't that nature said, I like Homo sapiens, I'll choose them. It was that out of the 9 versions of us, we're the ones that made it through, and we call that natural selection. Artificial selection is like when we breed dogs to get specific traits, and that's artificial, when we artificially change dogs in order to make them look a certain way. Yeah,
that's but now there's people that think the Earth's flat. Where do we go wrong?
And so we know, and that's where and I got problems with the Bible in the sense that it cannot be utilized as a scientific manual. We can't go to there for science. It is demonstrably wrong in all manner of speaking. And plus, you think about the time that it was written. It was written at a time when people legitimately did not know what the sun was. And believed that there was a group of people out there that legitimately believed the sun was being drawn across the sky in a chariot.
Do you have any response, Sonny, to the statement that the Bible is factually incorrect?
I know there's a lot of verses in the Bible that don't make sense, especially when we look at it from 2020. But there's also like you said, we were talking about evolution. It's just I find it an incredible coincidence that only one survived. Like you said, there's like 8 different ones. I guess there's some.
Yeah, we had 8 cousins. Mm-hmm.
I find it very incredible coincidence that. And how long ago did this happen? Like the cousins were all weeded out. Like
okay, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, but if my memory serves correctly, and please chat correct me if I'm wrong in this. But I believe that Neanderthals went extinct roughly 150,000 years ago, maybe 100,000 years ago, and Floriensis were the ones that went extinct before them, and slowly but surely, some of the earliest ones, some of the earliest ones they went extinct before we even showed up. Okay, so this was a long process that took millions of years, millions upon millions of years, and imagine all the generations of humans that could exist within those millions of years. When a generation, typically the lifespan back then, in those early days was probably around 20, maybe 23 years old. You were an old man, so people were breeding like rabbits, and the more breeding you do, just like viruses. The more breeding you do, the more chances for random genetic mutation. Sometimes those mutations lead to death. They don't work. Sometimes those mutations are beneficial, like our ability to process meat better, or our ability to process cooked meat better and to derive nutrition from it, which is one of the advantages that we have as Homo sapiens, and that our brain can subsist off that nutrition. It happens, but it takes a long time to happen. And very, very slowly, in incremental changes, boom, 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 over millions of years. I think our oldest hominid ancestor is like 2 million years old. Over that time, we slowly get small changes. Okay, we get the way our hips sit, the way our spine sits, the way our skull sits upon our head, our brain case, all of these things, tiny little changes that as those ones were selected for, and those genes kept repeating over and over and over again, and those ones were the ones that survived and passed their genes on, then we get a repetition, so on and so forth.
So again, you're using that word. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're right.
No, the scientists, they always like to use that word millions and millions of years, because once you go that far back, like we don't even know what happened in history, like for example, who shot Kennedy, for example. We're still thinking about that. I mean, with all our video evidence, and now the scientists like to always push to like millions of years ago this happened, and
I see. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm still
I see where you're going with that. So okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we're gonna go. Okay, so you understand? I'm just clarifying. You understand what a scientific model is, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So like the cosmological model is the best evidence we have to come up with the cosmos. So, and that the cosmological model includes the Big Bang. Okay. The scientific model that we have is constructed by decades and decades and decades of science and scientific method that has gone in from many different fields of science. It's not just one field of science. Okay. Many fields contribute the model to the scientific model of our world, and we can't discount all of them just because we disagree with one of them. Okay, so when you talk about when you talk about like the age of the Earth, it's not just geology that goes into that. It's many fields of science that contribute their data, all their data points, into the scientific model. So just because you disagree with geology doesn't mean that those that deal with isotopes, okay, doesn't mean they're wrong. Okay, so we have to ensure that we are embracing all of the areas of science that have contributed to this. It's not just astrophysicists that look at the sky and say this, or it's not just physicists that look at physics and say one thing. There are many fields that go around there. There's theoretical physics, various things that they all contribute. So when you look at things, don't just look at one. Don't just look at one facet. Look at all the facets. Don't just look at biology. Look at biology, look at evolutionary biology, look at archaeology, look at paleobiology, look at all of these things. And they all come up with data points. All of these data points together are how we form our scientific model, and our scientific model is how we know the age of the Earth. It's how we know it's how we found the KY or the KY line that was the extinction, that marked the extinction event of the dinosaurs. Okay? It is how we know that the Yucatan was struck by a meteor, and that's what triggered global climatic change that eventually resulted in the death of the dinosaurs and the rise of mammals. Okay? And led us to have this conversation today. So, I mean, this world, this planet, there are so many forms of life. 98.9% of all species of life on this planet are dead. So thinking that this little puddle is perfect for us, the water, like it was built just for us, it was not. Okay? Trillions of species had to die in order for us to get our opportunity. And we've only been here for 250,000 years as modern Homo sapiens, like 250,000 years. That's it. The dinosaurs had 165 million years, and eventually nature selected them for extinction, and they're gone. Okay? And now we are doing artificial selection on animals around us, polar bears, lions, and elephants, and rhinos. Okay, eventually nature will select for us as well. Whether or not we can survive that or not is a question for, for another time. But presupposing that it was all built for us by a creator, presupposing that it was designed for us simply because we have adapted so well to it, that's a presuppositional statement. Okay? That's when we get into believing things that are not true. That's what opens us up to being manipulated by con men, okay, and taken advantage of because we don't have all the information. The best thing you can ever do, the strongest thing you could ever say is, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'm going to find out what this is. And eventually, we will know. We have our best people working on it, as Neil deGrasse likes to say. But the best thing you can say is, I don't know, because it's the most humble position. It's the strongest position because it opens the door for learning. When you say, yeah, God, boom, it's God, then you have ceased all ability to learn further.
About 12 minutes, guys, and then we're going to be going on to Q&A.
You say boom. That's where you're going. That's what I'm hoping to get across to you.
Where did the boom start from? Like, okay, you say you go back to the whole Big Bang, and there can't be a creation without a creator. I'm sure you've heard of that argument a lot. So
we
don't
know that.
We don't know. Yeah, that's true. We don't know. So that we don't know could be God, or it could be, your nature, like specifically selecting, oh, this species should go forward. The rest can just die out. So there is some kind of consciousness. Yeah. So we could both believe in a different type of God.
No, you can. Yeah. You can suppose that there might be a consciousness, but there's no evidence of that consciousness. Okay.
I mean, the evidence is all
we've
around
measured.
You, think about it.
No, there's evidence of nature acting in the ways that nature. No, the fact that we're here is that we, amongst all species of our brethren, are the luckiest. That's all that is. That nature selected. That nature selected for us. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all we know is that nature selected for Homo sapiens, and we were allowed the opportunity to dominate this planet, just like the dinosaurs were allowed to dominate the planet during their time. The nature selected them for extinction.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we explained this. This was explained. I explained this. That it's not nature choosing. We use the term because we made it through. It's like we survived. That's the selection. It's natural selection. It doesn't occur with any agency. Okay? It's just selection. That's all it is. It's just that we happen to be the survivors. That's it.
So getting also on top of that evolution thing. So you, since you believe in evolution, do you think that dogs, for example, came from wolves? Is that your scientific model? That would it suggest that?
All dogs that currently exist today share canids that exist today share a common ancestor that can be traced back, and then those common ancestors share.
Breaking evidence now. Yeah. Sorry. Do you know that there's breaking evidence now that new genetic research overturns the whole? Long time people have thought that dogs just evolved from the gray wolf, but actually new genetic research says it's not the case. Actually, have you done research into that? See, a scientific model getting new evidence every day. So maybe we
You are
are
correct.
going in
You're
the
absolutely
direction of
correct.
God. Yeah, yeah.
You're
So we're
absolutely correct.
learning,
And there
right?
may
So,
be
yeah,
there may be
yeah,
new evidence that comes into it, and when
yeah,
new evidence comes in and passes muster, then we will
yeah.
accept that into the worldview and do that. And the minute that happens
I
for
hope so.
God, then that will adjust. But it has not happened yet. So we cannot, going back to it, we cannot base our worldview upon something that there is no proof for, because then we are led down paths that we should not go down, where we start, and it leads to the darkest realms, where we have the Crusades. We have people murdering each other in the name of what they believe.
Oh, I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
You take, but okay, now, just doing a thought experiment. You take God out of
Okay.
all of that. You take God out of all of that. Then it literally just comes down to the wars we have or the wars for resources. But as we've
Yeah,
survived to this
resources.
point, we don't need to fight. We don't need to fight for resources anymore. So what do we have to fight over? Exactly. Okay. The whole point is we want to be intellectually honest with our position.
I agree.
And
I agree.
claiming we have an answer when there's no evidence to support our answer is not intellectually honest. So atheism, or even agnostic atheism, if it makes you feel better, is the only intellectually honest position to have. That's it.
Okay, so I agree. Like, there's a lot of bad things that were done in the name of God. I wish they didn't happen, but we can't travel back in time. Mostly it was done for the king or whatever's own greed. Greed is the real root cause, and so I wanted to ask you though, do you think that evil exists in this world? Like, do you think that there are some people that are truly evil and working with a nefarious plan to take over, or is it all just greed and manipulation? Or what are your thoughts on that?
No, I believe
Evil.
no, I don't. Good and evil, or it's good and bad. Let's say good and bad. Okay, good and bad are terms that we use to describe behaviors that either promote or detract from society as a whole. Okay, so if I murder somebody, this is why I kind of want to avoid philosophy, because this is an area of infinite regress. So if I kill somebody, it's bad. But if I kill somebody to save another person, is it good or is it bad? If I kill somebody to save 10 people, is it good or is it bad? Okay, but this is infinite regress. That's why I didn't want to stumble down this rabbit hole. Good and evil, from my perspective and the way I see them, there is no good and evil in the world. They are terms that we utilize as humans to describe behaviors that either contribute to society or deduct from society. Okay, that either have negative consequence or positive consequence. Okay, now I'm not a causality, or I'm not I'm not really a prescriber to causality theory, but I mean, I understand causality in that respect, but there really is just actions, and then the consequences of those actions. We determine the action is good or bad by the consequence.
Okay, so I'll give you that. Some people are for the greater good. Some people might be doing a lot of, like for Stalin, for example. He got rid of religion, and he thought he was doing a lot of stuff for the greater good of Russia, when in fact he was killing millions and millions of people. So
yes,
he's a
true,
bad example for an atheist.
It's true, but that's true. But on the flip side of that coin, he did kill millions of people. The Soviet Union did suffer through multiple famines, but he forced the Soviet nation from an agrarian society to an industrial society and made them into a world power. Okay, so there's two halves to that coin. Okay, so they were once a spaced out, or a very, very spaced out or a spread out agrarian society, and he literally by force of will pushed them into the industrial age and made them into a world power at the sacrifice of millions of Russian lives. So but they wouldn't be who they are today without Stalin. So maybe this is why it's subjective. It's like that you can't say we can say that the deaths were bad. We can say that Russia, for coming into the industrial age and becoming a world power, that was good for them. Okay, because now they have infrastructure. Now they have the things that that the industrialized age brought them because of that. But then again, on the converse, America did it too, and many people died because of that. So
it can be done without
people. It can. It can. Yes. Now, but like I said, but the reason this species has survived is because we know that, well, okay, we know that empathy and the ability to empathize is directly tied to brain states. Okay, we have people who have suffered TBIs. We probably have some military veterans. Thank you for your service in the chat who know friends who have suffered TBIs, and their personalities have dramatically changed. We know that empathy is tied to brain states. Okay, some people are genetically more predispositioned to empathize better than others. Okay, the reason the reason our social species has survived is because those that empathize better are more able to spread their genes and pass on that predisposition to empathize. Those that don't empathize well, those that suffer from ASPD, those that suffer from psychotic presentation or homicidal ideation, anything of this, they don't really get the opportunity to pass on their genes. They are aberrations in the genome, and they typically don't last very long. You're always going to get weird aberrations, fish with 3 eyes, or frogs with 4 legs, or snakes with legs. There's weird stuff like that, but they typically don't get to breed and pass on their genes. We move along because the vast majority of this species, because we are social and empathy supports our survival, we have literally, through evolution, evolved the ability to be moral and treat each other with empathy and for the benefit of the species. Okay, and so we have moved forward with that. We will occasionally get a bad apple, but for most, I say in my opinion, I'm kind of optimistic in that the whole of it has always been good, and we have moved forward. If we could just get out of our way on occasion, if we could just drop things like religion, okay, we could actually make serious advancement.
I'm still I'm not too sure, because right now maybe people are behaving good because of all the human laws in place, right? Like if you steal, you'll go to prison. If you remove that human laws and there's no repercussions at all, and say for example tomorrow,
there would still be repercussions. No, there would still be repercussions. No. There would be repercussions. No, we know there'd be repercussions because there have always been repercussions. Okay, if murder, rape, and theft were just carte blanche behaviors that everybody engaged in, okay, there'd be no species left. Before even the concept of God or religion or deities or anything entered into the minds of the imaginative to explain things we couldn't understand, before those concepts even entered our minds, human beings did not behave that way. We didn't run around murdering, raping, stealing, destroying because there was no consequence. We knew there was consequence. The death of our species. Okay? You can't just run around and do these things. This is why the bad apples were often ostracized from the group, cast out from the social pack, where they would go alone and they would die. Well, the 10 Commandments, because they did not contribute to the society. Exactly. So we were a moral species long before God ever got into it.
Well, that's why it says in the Bible clearly we were created in the image of God. We're not animals. We don't just, even animals have some structure. I'm not going to.
But I'm sorry. We are animals.
Yeah.
We are animals.
I will disagree with that. No, there's a certain consciousness level. Just think of the consciousness level.
No, but there's that same level of consciousness exists in other species.
For example, a dog, as smart as a dog.
No, don't jump off that. That same level of consciousness. That same level of consciousness exists in other species. It's just not human consciousness. Okay, we know that cetaceans,
you have that human
whales,
consciousness. Yeah.
That's human consciousness, but there is also cetacean consciousness. Okay, there's lesser primate consciousness. Okay, we know that there are animals, that we know that there are species on this planet that have as complex communication abilities, as complex as us, even more complex, with more complex brains, more complex societies than us. And yet we claim that we are the dominant species. We actually aren't. Technology has given us a dominance, but you take a normal person, you stick him out there in the world, no. Absolutely not. He is at a significant disadvantage. The point is that, no, human consciousness is not the only consciousness on this planet. Whales and cetaceans, whales and dolphins,
agree with that.
are
They have
far
their own
more
consciousness.
advanced than we are. Exactly.
But it's different.
Far more
They're
advanced than
different.
us.
Let's just be honest. We're different from them.
We are less. We are different.
We created our
less
own world. Yeah.
But we are less
like
advanced
the
than they
animals
are.
live with the world. Listen, the animals live with the whale lives in the ocean. He doesn't need anything else. But we create our own world, and that's why there seems to be a different level of consciousness with us. And whether you agree or not, we are like animals. Do not wear clothes. They do not feel shame when you. The first thing that Adam and Eve learned.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Animals can feel shame. We know that.
All right, that's about time for the back and forth. And I can tell you, my cat definitely feels shame when I catch it trying to steal the food. Also, my cat definitely knows that I'm in charge because
Your cat knows wear clothes though.
Well, no, dogs have.
Does it feel that he's naked?
Dogs have owners.
My dog.
Cats have staff.
My dogs know shame when my dogs fuck up, they know it.
Right.
Running from us.
That was quite a really interesting conversation, guys. But we've got a few questions, so we're going to go through them. If anyone else wants to ask any questions, feel free to super chat or at me, and I will ask a question. So we'll start with the super chats. We've got Spike Smith for $10. Thank you very much, Spike. He says, Sonny, it seems like when you encounter something you don't understand, science, non-Christianity, etc., you assume it is sinister, evil, or malicious. Could it be that your ignorance is the real problem?
I want to clarify on that. I don't assume that it's just evil just because I don't understand certain parts of it. I just think there's some kind of there is some kind of bias in the scientific community that is really inhibiting our growth in the spiritual sense. And I'm just going to do a quick quote from Tesla, I believe, who said that if science and like spirituality merged, I believe that we could see a much more unified, more peaceful, more like a lot of diseases could be solved. I find that the material world, it's a lot about greed and a lot about, let's see. The day science, I'll just quote from Nikola Tesla. The day science begins to non-physical phenomenon, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. Nikola Tesla said that, and I'm a great fan of Nikola Tesla.
But to be fair, Nikola Tesla, even though he worked with electricity, didn't think electrons existed, so I don't tend to go to him for scientific knowledge. But
he also believed a pigeon. He also believed a pigeon spoke to him through laser rays into his brain.
Well, that was
I
think he had
for all the
dream
respect I
about
have for all the respect I have for Nikola Tesla, he talked to pigeons. We'll just say that.
I think this is just a general comment for you, Sonny, from the Plot Hole for $5. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the Plot Hole. They're awesome. Dylan said a lot of stuff to misdirect people. He's a trickster, but not in the way you think. Not the best source for your argument. Do you agree with that? They were talking about the... you two were having a conversation about the person that was writing about religion, and JL was basically saying that he was just trolling people.
Anton
Standish LaVey.
Okay.
LaVey.
Okay.
Sonny, his last name is LaVey. Yeah, there you go.
Right. I think he was definitely doing a lot of it for attention. Maybe he was doing some kind of spiritual rituals, like the what I showed, the spirit cooking. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe you could explain that better because you have friends in the Satanic Temple. Maybe you know what they're actually doing.
Hell, Satan.
I could ask them. I could show them that picture. And see what they say. I would bet money that they'd probably say that looks like something crazy and artsy that Lady Gaga is doing, because the girl once wore a meat suit onto stage in front of everybody. So she does weird stuff. Yes, and as like LaVey, like Anton LaVey, she goes for spectacle. She goes for the look. That's what she wants. Okay, so attribute to that what you will.
Okay. New guy, it's not really a question, but it says for $1.99, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Yeah, heaven don't want me because I'm too evil, and hell don't want me because I'll take over. So,
That's where all my friends will be.
yeah, I mean,
I don't believe it. I don't believe in eternal hell, by the way.
they'll have
Just
the cool
clarifying
stuff,
that.
right? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Draco
I
Fire.
believe in heaven, not a hell. Yeah.
Draco Fire for $5 says, Sonny, we have already asked this before, but where is the positive evidence for God's existence? Historical or anecdotal evidence is not valid.
Well, you've already wiped out historical and anecdotal. So, I don't know how to, I'll just go through my own journey, how I went from atheist to become a spiritual and go back to Christianity. I just saw a lot of videos online and unexplainable phenomenons. I'm sure you've all, like I mentioned before, just Google poltergeist activities. That was a great thing, and it actually happened to me in my own real life, where I just woke up in the middle of the night and a bowl just moved by itself like that, and I was like, my God, what? I wish I had my camera here. This is incredible. So there is something in the spiritual realm going on, and it's all very subjective. I'll give you that. Some people, they capture it on film, and of course, all of you might claim it's editing, but at the end of the day, we're not here forever, so it's good to do your own research. Even if it is subjective, there is a lot of military training in astral projection. I want you to all Google this if you have a chance. They literally did military training on military soldiers to go out of their body and hit certain targets, and these are all proven experiments, by the way. And like I said, do your own research, and I'm not going to say if there is a God or not. I can't definitely say that, but I do know from my own experience that spirituality is real. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too long.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do a deep dive into the CIA experiments that were MK Ultra and the weirdness that, the fact that they dose people with LSD without them knowing it and stuff like that. But there's a reason it was shut down. It's because it yielded the MK Ultra experiments and stuff of that nature yielded no consistent results that could be, I guess, that could be depended upon, whether it was remote viewing or the men who stare at goats or anything weird like that. None of it could be verified, and anything that actually happened that yielded positive results was, circumstantial. Well, was coincidental at best. So it's like Nina Kalaga with the fraud.
Yeah. You keep asking for evidence, and then when people do actually, actual scientists do these experiments, you just say it's nullified, one word.
No. We ask for evidence. No. We ask for evidence, and what they present is not evidence. That's the problem. Is that I ask for evidence. You present a sheet of paper or a photo. I ask for more information to clarify, and then all of a sudden everybody gets butthurt about it. That's the problem, is that a sheet of paper is not evidence. Okay, anybody can write down on a sheet of paper. When we ask for demonstrable, verifiable evidence that we can test, that I can pass on to Craig. Craig can do his own test. He can falsify my findings or whatever in that respect. This is the process that we go through. And anytime there is a claim of supernatural ability or supernatural occurrence or anything of this nature, it always fails in the face of scientific testing. Always. That James Randi's $1 million prize remained unclaimed.
That doesn't exist anymore, by the way. Yeah.
I know. He shut it down. He shut it down. But hundreds of people went after that thing. Hundreds of people went after that thing.
There was a lot
never claimed.
Well, that's a different subject. But that was under a lot of clauses that most people nobody would agree with, and a lot of it was held back, and it's been closed. Please never use that argument again. It's been closed for over 10 years now. Now with the advent of YouTube and all kinds of poltergeist videos being uploaded, people have more access to information now. So it seems that it coincided exactly as James Randi closed it down. The evidence of DMT.
Sonny, I'm sorry to jump in there. I would happily sit down here and go video by video by video. Every video you give me. No, every video you throw up, that you put up, that I can debunk. I can
We
shut that
can go
down.
through
I
that.
also have a
Definitely.
I have a background in video. I have a background as a filmmaker. Okay, I can
Cool.
tell you straight up. Now, I'm not going to go on these giant claims like JM Truth. I'm not. But I am a graduate of the KD Conservatory here in Dallas.
Yeah, but
I
you're
know
not a
how to shoot
modified
movies. I
sniper,
have
are
shot
you?
movies. No, I'm not. No. So, but I guarantee you, you pull up a video, and I can show you either who debunked it or I can debunk it myself because many of them out there have been, and we can go video by video by video for you. We can.
Okay, maybe we should do an entire show on that because I would love to
Yeah,
see
I can
your
host that,
debunking
definitely.
certain. Yeah, like papers flying. It's unreal the amount of evidence. So anyway, Randy's no longer. I mean, please don't use that because I know a lot of atheists use that argument even now in the comments section. But it's over. It's done with. There's nobody to replace that. Maybe you can just start one up
Well,
again.
no. Just because the prize is no longer available doesn't make
And
the
James Randy was a
competition
psychic, by the way.
credible. No, James Randi put up money for proof of
Yeah.
psychic phenomena, any psychic phenomena,
Okay.
and hundreds of people went after the prize and no one got it. That's it. That's it. That's the end of it.
It's not hundreds, by the way. It's that's a misquote. It was only not that many. I actually have the Wikipedia here with me. But anyway, we can go through
Right.
that later. But it was not definitely not hundreds.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry.
next question. Appearance is not reality for 199 says, Sonny, were Adam and Eve created from a golem spell? I mean,
I don't know what to say to
but
that.
doesn't the Bible say they were made from dust? And isn't a golem spell basically that?
Gollum from the Lord of the Rings.
No, a golem is
No,
in
no.
a stone
I know.
being.
The Jesuit legend of the Golem, where you can craft a person from clay and imbue it with a spell and put a mark on the forehead, and you can bring it to life to do your bidding.
I mean, like I said, the Bible, a lot of it is poetic. So maybe he was just trying to explain something so that we can understand. We can't understand the mind of God. I mean, that's like a cat trying to.
No, I debated the mind of
understand
God. He just kept saying the word orthogonal over and over. That was terrible. Okay.
That's high IQ shit right there.
Yeah. Bitwise79 for $5 says, no, Sonny, we separated religion and science for a reason. They hold each other back. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't, because I don't know if you heard of Rupert Sheldrake. He's making extremely good, big headway in the scientific community, as he's one of the very few people that are truly a scientist and spiritual at the same time. He's kind of like a modern day Nikola Tesla kind of guy, and there's definitely a lot more research being done into the spiritual phenomenon. And religion, I think science also has become a little bit of a religion because there's a lot of bias going on. Yeah, I mean, like
Sonny, I got no. I gotta jump on that. You saying science is a religion that is absolutely untrue. We have no structures. We have no deities. We have no. Professor Dave. Anybody? I know that everybody in the audience saw Professor Dave's debate with Ken Hovind. No, science is not a religion. It is absolutely not. We don't have beliefs. We have reasonable degrees of certainty, and we have scientific models that we are constantly updating as new evidence is presented. Okay, that's what we do, and we constantly adjust to that. But science is not a religion. I gotta hold you to that, dude, because doing that is it's one of the worst kinds of arguments. Okay, I'm not versed enough, and I don't know if that's what kind of fallacy that is.
Yeah, there is censorship in the scientific community. Censorship in the scientific community.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that there has been. I know, but the fact that something exists, is not proof of a grander thing. The reality is, science is not a religion. Science is a process by which we understand the world. Done.
Moving on to the next one. John Watson for £10 says, thank you very much, John Watson. The threat of hell and the promise of heaven is not morality. Humanity collectively and individually knows right from wrong without the need for a deity. Sonny, do you agree with that?
I do agree to the extent the threat of hell. Maybe that's a bit harsh. I always thought it was. That's one of the reasons I left Christianity. Forever and ever, heaven and hell. That makes no sense. I believed more in reincarnation from the Hindu scriptures. So whether, back to your question, whether humanity collectively and individually knows right from wrong, that's up for debate. I think many people are good by nature, but for example, if all the laws were removed tomorrow, I don't know what percentage of humans would just go up, start, killing and taking all the stuff they want. So maybe God was needed initially, anyway, with the Ten Commandments and everything, just to put us on the right track, and then we sort of take care of ourselves from that point on. We coincide the Ten Commandments with the human laws, like for example, thou shalt not kill. Of course, in human laws, you shouldn't commit murder, unless it's, of course, abortion.
What about the first three?
What's that?
What about the first three commandments?
We can go over them if you want.
No, we don't need to go over them. No, I'm just saying
Okay.
you said we base the commandments on the laws of man, but what's with the first three of them? Because the 7 tenets of Satanism are far superior in morality than the 10 commandments themselves.
So you're saying Satanism is in fact better than the Christian religion? Is that where you're going with this?
As far as its dogma goes, yes. I don't agree. I don't follow their dogma, but from a moral standpoint for humanity, yeah, absolutely, it is more moral than both the 10 commandments and the Bible and anything in it. Absolutely, it is.
I find it very fascinating. Again, you're kind of like coming in a roundabout way. You're going from atheism to Satanism, which is kind of what I opened on.
I'm saying that Satanism holds that the Satanic Temple holds a morally superior stance than Christianity does.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Isn't it do as thou will? Isn't that their isn't that their code? Do as thou will.
No.
Like, don't care about anything else.
No, absolutely not. The 7 tenets are very, very simple. Strive to act with compassion and empathy. Struggle for justice is ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. Belief should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. Those are the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple.
Amen.
I find that quite fascinating. I would love to see a link of that if possible. Maybe we can arrange that.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to
the Satanic Temple.
that.
The SatanicTemple.com.
Yeah.
SatanicTemple.com.
Wow.
That's it.
Easy.
Yeah, that's it.
Hail Sagan.
Like I said, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I
next.
don't know much
Hail
about
Sagan.
it, but I'll do more research. I'll do more research.
Yeah, definitely. Look into it. Do your own research. Sorry.
Okay.
Next
I'll do
question
that.
from Fred Knotts. Sonny says, slavery is still practiced, so do you think the slave owners view themselves as evil?
Slave owners. I know the Bible mention you should treat your slaves really well or something like that.
Doesn't the Bible say that you can stone your slave?
Yeah. I don't know about that.
It also says to obey. It also says for slaves to obey their masters, even the cruel ones.
Guys, remember, this is why I left Christianity, because I know there's a lot of very...
You're right, and you made the right move. You made the right move. Come back to rationality.
Here's the thing, though. I still support spirituality 100%. Like, whatever religion you are.
Yeah, but here's my question to you, then. Do you think that the realm of spirituality belongs exclusively to the realm of religion? Or can you have, you have spirituality without religion?
I'm one of the few that think you can have spirituality without religion, as long as you don't. The reason religion was there was to put some people together. Like, okay, we all believe in spirituality. Let's worship together in this place, and I think that's how religion kind of started, right? It stems from spirituality.
Take your money and control your behavior.
And obviously there was hierarchy there, and then the Pope and all that nonsense started to happen. But you need religion just to make sure that people follow a set of rules, keep Sunday, for worship, so that you kind of take time off from work, so you don't get overworked, right? So yeah, I definitely think there's some benefit of religion in that way.
Okay,
What are your thoughts?
Um,
Okay.
I don't think that spirituality needs religion personally.
I
Okay.
agree with you, Craig. I do.
Yeah. Okay, so the
One
next
can
question.
one.
Sorry, go on.
I'll say one can meditate. One
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
find
I
one
agree.
center. One can take focuses, like any of this, anything to
Yeah.
strengthen your, if you want to use the term oneness, in that
Mm-hmm.
spiritual term. I'm all
Yeah.
for that. Things that
Good.
regulate your stress, things that calm you down, things that allow you to
Yeah.
see the world objectively and without bias, to calm oneself down. I am all for these things. It's when these
I'm
things
glad you are.
once these things become indoctrinated, and people start following them with dogma, and they start telling people what they can and cannot do. That's where it ends. That's religion. But I agree with Craig. He has a very, very
Yeah.
good point that yes, spirituality and religion can be separate. That you can't have one without the other.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Right,
Yeah.
Colorado Biker Prepper says, for both of you, are either of your beliefs grounded on epistemology or a condition of your social indoctrination and conditioning?
Yeah, you want to go with that one, JL?
Well, epistemology being concerning the theory of knowledge. From a philosophical standpoint, I consider myself an empiricist, and then I move on. But then I quickly recognize that my empirical senses are very, very lacking, and so I utilize tools in order to further my understanding and to ensure that what I am observing is correct. So I would say I come from a very empirical and from an empirical foundation, moving on to the scientific, and then onto objective truth. And I do everything I can to try and eliminate my bias. I was born and I was indoctrinated Methodist, and I was actually confirmed Methodist and went through the church.
Wow.
And it was just the inconsistencies in religion led me to study theology, and then the inconsistencies in other things led me to just consider spirituality. And then I realized I was kind of deluding myself, and then went on to simply atheism and objective reality.
Okay, what about you,
Okay.
Sonny?
I believe it or not, I am very empirical. Like, I like to see things with my own eyes. I take video footage very seriously. So I'm not going to be one of those people who just sees some poltergeist activity and say, that's probably been done with some software. Oh, James Randi, he debunked everything, when he hasn't even been doing it for like 10 years now. And he doesn't have hundreds of that. So yeah, I'm very empirical for sure. I take my observation very seriously, and I know what things that I see that are real. I've had my own out-of-body experiences, thanks to, again, astral projection, which you can YouTube, and you can find all kinds of amazing binaural beats. So, and of course, I do
Deprivation of
my
oxygen.
own. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was riffing on that. We know that the majority of out-of-body experiences occur from oxygen deprivation.
Yeah, it could be DMT that's being produced in our body. And DMT is another fascinating, although I wouldn't encourage anybody to do any drugs, but there are scientific evidence behind
I want to do
DMT.
DMT.
I encourage anybody to do it once.
Yeah.
Just do it once.
Oh, you've done it before?
Just for the
Okay, cool.
DMT? Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
And it's amazing
So
what it can do, and there's a reason that our brains produce it right before the moment of death.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe there's a connection between afterlife and DMT. Let's just put it
No,
out
I would say
there,
there's a connection. There's a connection between DMT and the hallucinations we experience as our brain begins to malfunction and die. Okay,
There's
because
a
think of
book
the brain
called-
as an organic. You think of the brain as an organic computer that needs fat, sugar, and oxygen to survive. When you start depleting those things from the brain, like a computer, begins to kind of like defragment. Okay, it begins to fall apart. Okay, and then when that happens, you see weird shit. As brain cells die, you see crazy stuff. I can attest to that personally, and that is what is happening when you're dying. You're losing oxygen. Your blood supply is running low. You're no longer getting the nutrition that your brain needs. Your cells start to die. You start experiencing very weird shit. Okay, and that is what we attribute to, and then DMT floods your brain and makes it even weirder.
So yeah, there are some like accounts of people like going out of their body and actually seeing the surgeons and what they were doing, and this is all like also, I guess it's still like their own subjective reality, but there is more and more compelling evidence that life does exist after death. And I mean, personally, I mean, you can see for yourself. I mean, try it out. That's what I always tell the audience. Like, don't take anybody else's word. Try it out for yourself. And if that gets you to God or spiritual, that's great.
And I will attribute it. I will add to that. Please don't suffocate yourself. You
No,
can die.
don't do that.
Yeah.
And don't do that. We don't need to get close enough to do DMT. You can get it from your local dealer.
Or you can just do meditation.
Not at the moment. They're all locked down.
They're all stuck in their houses.
Okay, from Ed Freeze, question for Sunny. Why do you think the universe requires a creator when we see things being created in nature without an outside consciousness interfering, like plants growing, stars forming, etc.?
Well, who created the whole cycle, right? Who created the plant that it would actually do that? It's like, I always had this belief in God that he created like a system, and the system would sort of take care of itself as much as it can, because you don't want God to like be like a kid with a magnifying glass and going, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. He kind of created the system, and then he just sort of like let it all play out. And I'm firmly convinced that there's some kind of a test here going on for your faith in God and whether you do the right or the wrong thing. And God is like a parent, for example, just saying, all right, you're out of the house now, you're out of heaven now, do what you can, let's see how well you do outside of heaven, and let's see if you can return back to heaven. I think that's what's being played out. Or you'll have to come back again and again, and that's why you have your deja vus. Aha, there's a very interesting explanation for the deja vu. We think we've done something again and again.
Just a glitch in the matrix.
Could be a glitch in the matrix.
That is a weighty box to unpack. There is a lot in there. I'm not going to address it all. You combined a lot of different things. You combined a lot of different things from a lot of different sources. I could see that you pull from Eastern philosophies. I see you pull from Western belief structures. You combined a lot of stuff, and unfortunately, none of it has any evidence to support any of it.
Okay.
None.
Right.
So sorry.
You've never had a deja vu.
All right. Moving
of course,
on.
I have deja vu. Human memory sucks. Human memory is terrible. That's why I write everything down.
No, I've been to a completely new place, and I've been like, my God, I've been here so many times before. What's going on?
It's pattern recognition. It's Honey. I'm telling you, it is pattern recognition. Your brain is that good at recognizing patterns. Your brain recognizes patterns and then fills in the details to complete the memory. That is why when you look at a square that is only 4 corners on a screen, your brain fills in the lines. Okay? We know that. Your brain will, if you only see 4 corners, your brain will make the square. And the reason for that is your brain recognizes patterns and it fills in the data that it thinks needs to be there. That is what deja vu and deja vacu is. Both those phenomena are merely your brain completing patterns and then you recognizing the patterns and saying, oh my God, I saw that before. No, you really didn't. You saw details that you recognized somewhere else. Your brain put them together to say that you were seeing the same thing.
Right, okay. So then we got from John Watson again for £10, says, thou shalt not kill, actually translate as, thou shalt not kill an Israelite without good reason, as the Israelites went on to commit genocide after genocide. I think, let's just move on from that. Good point. Barry Tabra for £5 says, how does Sunny go about researching and validating news articles and media that support his spiritual beliefs? Which sources do you trust?
I know you're all going to laugh at this, but I trust YouTube a lot because I know the traditional mainstream science doesn't really. I mean, there was even a banned TED Talk by the Rupert Sheldrake called the Science Solution, where he was bringing up legitimate questions about the varying speeds of light and all these things that he conclusively proved and the scientific community just, just wouldn't hear from it. And so, yeah,
So
I do a
you
lot
trust
of.
YouTube? Cool.
Like I
Well,
said, I trust video footage a lot.
the
I
speed
do.
of we know the speed of light varies depending upon the medium in which it's moving through.
Yeah, but there's a fascinating. I would like you if you
It
could
does,
both
no, no.
watch this.
The speed of light, is constant, but we know that it changes depending upon the medium in which it's moving through. If it's moving through an atmosphere,
Yeah.
moving through a vacuum, moving through water, moving through anything else. We know that, moving through mass, the speed of light varies depending upon the medium in which it moves. That's it.
Yeah. So there's
That's
more
it.
evidence. Like there used to be a thought that it was constant, but people are discovering new things. That's what I'm trying to tell you about. Even spirituality, we're discovering new
No,
things.
when they say it's constant, they talk about it in a vacuum. The speed of light in a vacuum is constant.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's the constant rate.
moving on. We've got one more question from Concord327. Thank you very much for $2. Sunny, are you a fan of Sai Baba, famed guru wooist?
I
Sai
know
Baba?
that Sai Baba, the original one was. I mean, it's kind of like the Pope kind of thing, where it's like one Sai Baba overtakes another one. The latest one that died recently, unfortunately, was a lot of weird things were going around him. But like I said, you just take the good from them. There's one very, very beautiful quote by him. It says, "Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never." I mean,
Sounds like
regardless
you're a
of
fan.
what you think. Yeah, I am. I do like that quote. I just live by that quote. I mean, even if the guy's not perfect, all humans are infallible. We are all sinners, and so yeah, I
Every
just take the
sin.
good.
Hey, Sonny,
Yes.
if I can interject real quick, that
No worries.
quote you said from this gentleman. Repeat that again, just real quick.
Love all, serve
The
all, help ever, hurt
Yeah.
never. Yeah.
That
Is
is
that something
okay.
else?
That right there, no, that right there is morally is it has a better moral standing than all of Christianity
Ooh,
as
right in
a
the
spirit.
feels.
Yeah, I'd say run with that.
That's why I said I respect all religions.
Run with that. If you need a personal doctrine for your behavior, run with that. That was morally
Yeah.
that had a better moral standing than all of Christianity itself. Start from there and go
Ooh.
from there.
For me,
But drop the dogma.
I go with I get it from Pokemon, because Mewtwo once said
Oh
it's not
wow.
the circumstances of your birth that are important, but what
There you
you
go.
do with the gift of life. So yeah, Mewtwo is my moral compass. So that's
Everybody
going to be
needs
it.
somebody.
Yeah, that's going to be it for tonight,
Okay.
guys. I appreciate you all watching. Your super chats mean the world. Make sure that you leave a like and subscribe and share and everything. Just before we go, we're going to go over again the PM's announcement earlier on today. I'm going to read the notes from it. Obviously, this coronavirus stuff is getting crazy, and so the UK has had to put in extreme measures. So here are the major points from Boris Johnson's speech. From tonight, people in Britain will be allowed to leave their homes for only very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities, for one form of exercise a day, like going for a run or cycling, but not in groups, but you can go out with family members to do that. And to travel to and from work when absolutely necessary. That means only key workers. People are warned not to meet friends or family members who they do not live with. Shopping is only permitted for essentials like food and medicine, and people are advised to do it as little as you can. Police have powers to enforce the rules, including through fines and dispersing gatherings. All shops selling non-essential goods such as clothing and electronic stores are ordered to close. Libraries, playgrounds, outdoor gyms and places of worship are to close. All gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with, are banned. All social events, including weddings and baptisms, are banned. Funerals are not included in the new restrictions. Parks will remain open for exercise, but gatherings will be dispersed. Restrictions are under constant review and will be checked again in 3 weeks. They will be relaxed if the evidence shows we are able to. So these are the times we're in now, and it means a massive change to everybody. So my advice to everyone is to follow the instructions and just keep you and everyone else around you safe. The rate of infection of this thing is unprecedented. If you actually look at the maths, just one person going around could be responsible for infecting 59,000 other people. And it doesn't take long before those kind of numbers can mean a major thing. So be safe.
Seems a bit like martial law, though.
It's what's needed at the moment, and if people don't do it, then they need to be forced, because otherwise we're not going to get through this, and it could be really bad. But if we all follow the advice and do as we're told, everything will be fine. We're going to be doing a bit of gaming on Team Skeptic's gaming channel soon, so come over and hang out with us for a little bit while we get killed a lot in Call of Duty.
Speaking of which, I want to throw out a big thank you to Skeptic. He was the one who kind of opened the door, who graciously opened the door for me into this community. I owe him that. So a big thank you to Team Skeptic for letting my voice in. So I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Great guy.
Well,
I hope he's feeling better.
Yes, so do I.
Yes, I'm glad he is.
I want to say thank you to both you guys for coming and having a decent discussion today. It's been great.
No problem.
And as always, remember, guys, that stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat Earth. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.